Kick the flow, kick the flow, kick the flow, kick the flow, kick the flow.
I just can't believe that as a parent. And what's your view in general on Tam Fry's suggestion that actually it's down to the government rather than parents or indeed individuals to be responsible for what they eat?
I disagree. It's the parent's decision. If your child is overweight, you're the parent, you're responsible. They need physical exercise and they need a healthy diet. And having a healthy diet is easy to do. I mean, you can go, I probably can't say brands on air, but you can go to various shops that are very cheap to buy fruit and vegetables and cook good meals. You don't need to buy processed food where you don't know what's in it. And I don't think you need the government to tell you how to eat a good, balanced diet and how to exercise. Yeah. That's down to parenting.
Okay, Amy, thank you. Amy's there speaking in the capacity of somebody who has a type 2. She sees a type 1 diabetic, but she says she goes into hospital wards and she sees a lot of people suffering from type 2 who are all overweight. Jezza has tweeted at LBC, "I'm a type 2 diabetic. Why are people paying for my poor lifestyle choices?" he asks. "Somebody else has cancer. Why am I paying for their poor health? It's completely and utterly ludicrous." Well, in some cases, I suppose you can say that some cancers are self-inflicted. People who smoke, for instance, might end up with lung cancer. But as we know with the case of Roy Castle, he didn't smoke and he ended up with lung cancer, I think, because he was playing jazz in very smoky clubs. And therefore, you could say that in some cases, or in most cases, in fact, type 2 diabetes is self-inflicted. And there are a number of health and lifestyle choices you could make to ensure that you don't develop it. Whereas people who have cancer through no fault of their own haven't done anything to deserve it, and therefore perhaps they've got a better claim to NHS cash than people who might have been better off trying to employ preventative measures, trying to eat more healthily, trying to carry out more exercise. I mean, I think it's interesting that we've had this whole situation throughout the pandemic where we've made huge personal sacrifices to, quotes, save the NHS, and then when you ask people whether they're willing to be deprived of their weekly takeaway, then they say no, or whether they'll do more exercise, no. This is my lifestyle and I'm entitled to it. Well, not necessarily if the rest of us have to pay for it. And it's costing an enormous amount of money. We're talking about £1 in £8 spent on the NHS is spent on this. So it's not an insignificant amount. But you might disagree with me. 0345 606 0973. Maybe you're overweight and there's nothing you can do about it. You've tried every diet under the sun and it's made no difference. Give me a ring. Let's speak to Harry in Waltham Forest. Harry, what's your view?
Good afternoon, Camilla.
Hello.
It has to be down to education and not compulsion. Once we get the government to dictate what we can eat and what we can't eat, and telling us this and that, and we have to obey, we might as well put slave collars on.
Yes. I mean, it might be the nanny state going one step too far, right?
It is. Every day they're trying to intrude more and more into every aspect of our lives.
Harry, have you had any experience with type 2 diabetes or problems with your weight, if you don't mind me asking?
As far as I know.
Not as far as you know. But the idea of having to pay more, for instance, for sugary foods, I mean, do you eat many sweet things?
I do have a sweet tooth.
Yes.
I try and control it by balancing that with fruit and nuts.
Yes. But what do you feel about this idea that you should pay more because other people can't eat sweet food responsibly?
Again, that's compulsion, but through the wallet rather than the actuality of law. But it's still compulsion.
Do you think that in general, I don't know what side of the political fence you happen to lean on, but we've got into this situation where the state has got bigger and bigger and we're being increasingly nannied, even under the premiership of Boris Johnson, a so-called libertarian?
Well, he's got worse. I mean, we didn't realise when we voted blue that we were getting green.
Yeah. Well, that's one way of putting it, I suppose, Harry. Thank you. Thank you. That's Harry in Waltham Forest. Let's speak to Dave in London Coney now. Dave, what's your view on the obesity crisis and how to solve it?
Well, you just made a reference to basically your feeling that was that it shouldn't be down to government to control what people eat. It should be down to parental control and responsibility. Which is fine if you're a responsible parent and you abide by the rules and the information you're given. Now, if we remove all the speed limits, and through education and, all the other sort of portals through which we're educated how to conduct ourselves, it's left to you to decide what speed you go.
kick the flow, 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 kick the flow.